defense attorney Marie Pereira and former deputy public defender Philip Dubé. I'm still struggling with saying former deputy public defender, but it is what it is, right? But I'll start with you, Philip. The two big hurdles, as I see them for the prosecution, I think were addressed, but I want to know how you think they were addressed. I think you got Hunter that you have to deal with, and again, I don't see that as a major obstacle, but it's certainly one they have to address. And then the possibility of a Sid's death, I think they did a great job addressing that.
Well, as for Hunter, remember, they're essentially alleging a third-party culprit was responsible for the death of the child. And in most states, and I think Tennessee is in accord, it's one thing just to have the means, the motive, and the opportunity to want to end a life. There has to be something to corroborate the fact that Hunter was in on it, as opposed to just being mentally ill, having a psych history. There has to be some causal link between him and the death. If you don't have it, then I don't even think you even get a jury instruction on third-party culprit. There's just not enough evidence. And to just sort of spitball the idea and just float it out there, I'm surprised that the judge even allowed it in, because there is no evidence whatsoever to connect Hunter to the crime, just none. And the other question you wanted to know had to do with asphyxiation.
SIDS. Yeah, the SIDS death.
Yeah, the SIDS. So, here's the thing. Let's just go with that. I think there's an argument to be made that the jury can still come back on a felony murder theory, that even though she might not have had an intent to kill, the omission to act, the failure to act, is a type of aggravated child abuse during which or because of which a death occurred. And the jury could get her on a felony murder theory, which carries life. So it's kind of risky. It's one thing to attack the intent aspect of a first-degree premeditated, but if you're going to attack a felony murder charge, you have to disprove the underlying felony, and I'm not sure that they've done that. Now, finally, I will say, look, it's very obvious that the baby got stuffed in a garbage can with foil on its face, and that was probably the coup de grace, if you will, that ultimately asphyxiated the child. And how do we know it? Well, first of all, the coroner said so, that the cause of death was asphyxiation. But number two, her print's on the foil. And they put nobody on to refute it. They didn't put anybody on to show that maybe Hunter's fingerprints were on there, his DNA was on there, or a statement from Hunter. Nothing. All you're really left with is everything pointing to her. And it's tragic because at the tender age of 17, 18, her life cycle events should be revolving around, the prom, the Sadie Hawkins dance, drill team, cheerleading, running for student body. And here she is now on trial for her life. It's really tragic.
Yeah, as far as the foil goes, Judge, there's just no other explanation for it. Why would you do that?
Why would you do? I agree with you. Why would you do that? Yeah. I don't think there is either. And Marie, I have to ask you, because everything that Philip just said was reflected when the prosecutor in the rebuttal said, this child died from asphyxiation. Both of them said that. Even though they may have talked about SIDS, they both said this was the cause. Did that do it for you? Did that convince you? Does that solve that piece for you?
It doesn't solve it for me, because post-incident cover-up does not equate to malicious intent and premeditation. We don't know when the asphyxia occurred. It might have been the rollover situation. And maybe, yes, Hunter wasn't there on the bed, because, the messages really show that he wasn't there. Because if he was there, why would he be asking about the baby? But we already know that Megan is a liar. She lied on her mom. She's a pathological liar. She's a slob, and she's man-thirsty. But all of that put together does not tell us when the baby died and how the baby died exactly. The filicide, the homicidal violence that the expert from the prosecutorial side was saying was not proven beyond a reasonable doubt. That was her opinion, and it wasn't enough, because at the end she had to answer NO to the magic question, do you know when the baby died or exactly how the baby died? Emotions, yes, but facts, no. And if they go according to the black letter law, people have not met all the elements of this crime beyond a reasonable doubt. We don't know how it happened. And for us to do intentional murder, we need to know how it happened. And for us to go with aggravated child abuse, we need to say, okay, what kind of child abuse led to this? It could have still been an accident. I feel like there's an argument there still.
And it's 1 hour and 22 minutes they've been deliberating. Michael, I must say this. To me, there is absolutely no love lost for Megan, the defendant in this case by the prosecutor.
I would agree, and I think the jury feels the same way, which might provide that bridge that Marie is talking about might be missing to get you from one to the other and get you to that highest count. I think that dislike and the action she took after sort of provide that.
The emotion. I agree.